Okay, here we are. I'm going to carry on from where we left off on page 132 with the subheading tense vowels and English foot structure. Now, the only observation of any importance that's being made here is that we have claimed that the leftmost syllable of foot always contains a full vowel. Fair enough. And it's never a reduced vowel. But we can see full vowels elsewhere in syllables as well, which may or may not be surprising to you. So if you look at a word like radio, you'll agree, I hope, that the O sound in radio is a full vowel, and yet it's not syllable initial. You can under section 9 in page 133, you'll see the text claiming that only reduced, tense, and short low vowels can appear in word final position. That's a bit of a mouthful. So I think it makes more sense to look at the following sentence, exactly halfway down page 133. The short non-low vowels cannot appear in word final position. Excuse me. Okay, now I'm going to just slide back up the page for a few seconds there. If we've said that tense vowels or whole vowels typically appear in syllable initial position, how is it that we're seeing them in other positions? Well, there are two exceptions, or there are two rules that explain this, and they're at the top of page 133. Number 8, when you see two vowels adjacent in an English word, the first vowel must be tense or long. The E in radio, and then secondly, as I restated a few seconds ago, short non-low vowels cannot appear in word final positions. So you will never find an English word like play or plu or pli. It's just English speakers don't like those sounds at the end of a word. So we do have some constraints and rules to those positions. Okay, I'm going to move on to two words here. A word that I would pronounce motto, but Americans will pronounce it motto, and radio, which we pronounce the same way. Now, the real question is here, how do we know that the two syllables of motto are in the same foot? And how do we know that the three syllables of radio are in the same foot? They seem to be. Well, motto is easily explained, or as you say in American English, motto. And this has to do with the flap rule, which you'll see about 2/3 of the way down on page 135. The English stops T and D are flapped between vowels that are contained in the same metrical foot. Now you know why you flap the T sound in motto, because motto is the same foot. If it were 2 feet, you would then be pronouncing that T syllable, that T as if it were opening a new word, motto. All right. Regarding, let's see, do I have anything else to say about that? I don't think I do. Well, I guess you could, the text is a bit, it's all over the place in this, but it provides us with two words. The political word veto, which it claims are 2 feet, V and toe, and the Italian name Vito, V-I-T-O. And we're in New Jersey. I'm sure you know somebody called Vito. Now, you're typically going to pronounce the first word there, veto, with a hard T, but the second with a flap, veto. Why is that? It's because the T sound in the Italian name Vito, at least as it's pronounced in America, is considered part of the same foot. It has 2 syllables, V and toe, but they're part of the same foot, and therefore the T is flapped. Now, let's apply this rule. Let's take the word, well, I pronounce it attitude, which isn't the same as your pronunciation. You as Americans go attitude. Now, if the second T in attitude were part of the syllable that contained the preceding vowel, it would be flapped, wouldn't it? So you get attitude, which just isn't said. You don't say that. You say attitude. So that hard T is a strong indicator that it's not just opening a new syllable, it's opening up a new foot as well. So the word attitude has 2 feet. Attitude. A second example is the word, well, I say editor. You guys say editor, which I find hard to say, but I'm Irish. Now, there are 2 flaps there, aren't there? There's the flap on the D, and there's the flap on the T. Editor. Now, this strongly suggests, given our flap rule, that the whole word editor is a single syllable, because both of those alveolar sounds, the D at the start and the T, are flapped. And you'll see 1/3 of the way down page 135 a proposed diagram for the ternary foot editor. 3 syllables, but all 3 part of the same foot. Just above that, by the way, you'll see the attitude, still 3 syllables, but 2 feet. And you know that that second foot is there because the T is pronounced hard. Attitude. All right. Let's see. We spoke about veto and veto already, and I was a little skeptical myself, so I opened up my own phonetic software, and I did the same thing that we see on page 137 there. And indeed, the veto, the pronunciation of veto, was marginally longer than the pronunciation of veto. So there is a phonetic or phonological difference between the pronunciation of those 2 words. Now, we claimed 10 or 20 minutes ago that only stressed vowels can appear in word initial position. But where does that leave us with words like about and alone? because it's pretty clear to us that the opening vowels in those two words are what's the term I'm looking for here? Sorry, I'm blanking. Non-full. Reduced. There we go. So how does that work? Well, we're going to claim it's a mealy-mouthed claim, I feel, but it's the only solution. Given that we do have these opening vowels, we're going to claim that they're simply not feet at all. So in the word about, at the top of page 138, we have a single foot, but there are still two syllables in the word. Only one of the syllables is attached to the foot, however. The other, the in about, is just standing free. The same with a word like tenacious. That tin at the start is just standing free and alone. It is a syllable, but it's not part of a foot. Now, we do find this in poetry. We'll often find epenthetic vowels or sounds or syllables here and there. They're simply to make a line sound better. So it's entirely possible that this is happening. These are syllables that just stand outside the foot structure. You see this in poetry. I don't see why it's not possible to see it in ordinary everyday language as well. So that's that as far as it goes. So we've only got 2 pages left in this lecture and we're done. So I hope you are enjoying this, or at least getting something out of it, this guide to our text. Knock off now, just 10 more minutes and we'll be done.